Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another Oldschool Runescape video. 2024 is just around the corner, and with great games over the past few years and even more ambitious releases in the years to come, it would be pretty fair to ask, why do people still play a game like Oldschool Runescape to this date? If you clicked on this video, you are one of two types of people. The legends who either play this game or have at least played it in the past, but stopped for one reason or another. Even though it seems highly unlikely, the other group I'm talking about is made up of people who have probably just heard of this game but never gave it a second thought. If that is the case, my final video of 2023 will be all about the million GP question: is OSRS worth playing in 2024? If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing with notifications on, drop a like for the last upload of the year, and come to this channel every day of the week except for Thursdays and Sundays for frequent live streams so we can interact and play together and explore all the future content in OSRS. The general idea of this video is to give you some background as to how Oldschool Runescape came to life, notable updates in 2023 that gave us brand new content, as well as breathing new life into existing activities, exciting new content coming in 2024, and finally, I would like to talk about why I personally love this game so much, as well as pretty much everything surrounding it. Boys and girls, grab your favorite snack and drink, and let's get right into it. So, for the uninitiated, what is Oldschool Runescape, and why do people still play a game that looks like, well, this? To make a long story short, OSRS is the retro version of a game called RuneScape, which is still going on to this day. And the story behind it is actually quite interesting. The current version of RuneScape is known as RuneScape 3. This is because RuneScape was created in 2001 as a 2D MMORPG that looks even more ancient than OSRS itself. Only 3 years later, RuneScape received a massive visual upgrade that took things from 2D to 3D, leaving the newest version of the game with the name RuneScape, as the previous version was still accessible to players, but this time under the name RuneScape Classic. RuneScape was not that well known to people until it had a massive boom in popularity, mainly from being featured in a prominent website hosting all kinds of games called Miniclip. And being something kids could access anywhere, especially computer class, RuneScape's numbers absolutely exploded, and that is why a ton of people remember this era of the game as the time they were introduced to pure addiction, including myself, in 2005. The game continued to receive incredible updates in the form of new minigames, new quests, and especially new skills that Jagex dropped as a surprise every now and then. We didn't really know how good we had it as kids. Obviously, this doesn't mean that everything was sunshine and rainbows, as Jagex also messed up from time to time, such as killing the wilderness and unrestricted trade, even if it was meant to protect the players and for the overall integrity of the game. The straw that broke the camel's back, however, is when RuneScape received the single biggest update since the switch from Classic to current RuneScape by introducing the evolution of combat in 2012. Along with microtransactions to the game in the form of the Squeal of Fortune, this completely changed the essence of the game and how combat was carried out. And for a lot of players, that was the nail in the coffin, leading to an obscene amount of people to quit the game for good. This is a time when, for former and existing players, RuneScape would be known as RuneScape 3. Only about a year later, a petition is launched for Jagex to release retro servers for the game. Little do people know, the only reason why we have Oldschool Runescape today is because a JMod found a hard drive in a safe at Jagex with files from RuneScape as it was somewhere in 2007, which led them to hint at the fact that this was a possibility. With tons of people supporting the idea, the developers launched a poll asking if players actually wanted this and offered different tiers of benefits depending on how much support this got. It ranged from lowering membership costs and how often the game would be updated and much more. Nearly 450,000 people voiced their opinion, and after massive success, Jagex decided to hand the project to a few JMods to get working on reviving the 2007 version of RuneScape, which is what we all know and love today. RuneScape 3 is still alive and well, but it doesn't really have the same popularity as Oldschool Runescape. Most recently, they released a new necromancy boss, and it is Vorkat from OSRS. To this day, it isn't uncommon to see content from either game inspired on its counterpart, which gives more variety and fresh ideas. Okay, so that is how Oldschool Runescape came to be. Now, I want to take a few minutes to talk about a few updates that made the 2023 one of the best years this game has ever seen, in my personal opinion. We're gonna start with Secrets of the North, and unbeknownst to us, this was a piece of the puzzle for an upcoming update that would be pretty much the biggest in the history of the entire game. But more about that later. Secrets of the North released a new boss by the name the Phantom Uspa, and it dropped uniques that made a new item called the Venator Bow, also known as the Veni Bow. This is a new way to train ranged and maybe AFK Slayer in the Catacombs of Kourend, and it has become a staple at many setups that you could potentially take to bossing trips and overall PVMing. It is definitely a bittersweet experience I've had with this boss if you're a little familiar with the channel, but that's a story for one of my previous videos. Later down, we received a Will Be Boss rework, which if you remember Callisto, Vedion, and the Venenatis, which were in the wilderness and you were pretty much able to safe spot and completely break, these were taken to another area. But not only that, they also gave us little versions of the bosses, so you could farm in maybe less dangerous areas by the names Atrio, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, Calvarion, and Spindle. Of course, the big boy versions of the bosses are maybe more lucrative, more profitable, but it is of course more dangerous if PvPing and PKing in the wilderness was one of the things you liked to do if you don't play the game anymore, or definitely one place where you can test your courage. This also introduced the brand new weapons, which are a lot more powerful to farm the respective boss, and I definitely think they were great updates to breathe new life into the wilderness. And yeah, definitely one that I haven't really participated in too much, but extremely healthy for the game. We then got an update by the name of Quest Speedrunning, which is basically an official way to speedrun a few quests. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to create a brand new account to try it out, but you can reset as many times as you want. Even though this content is not really popular at the current moment, it's something you can jump in every now and then, and of course get a trophy and the cool cosmetics, including Blue Graceful, for you to show people that you have achieved great times in the Quest Speedrunning world. For those of you PvP enjoyers, we received pretty much the biggest update we've seen in a long time, and it is Bounty Hunter. If you remember back then in RuneScape 2, the Bounty Hunter Crater, it's something similar. You're able to go to an area in the wilderness, and you can find the targets, like, pretty much like previous Bounty Hunter, the activity that was, kind of scrapped because it was being exploited. But this time around, it is a lot more competitive. Someone like me, can just get a few kills every now and then. You can still make a lot of money if you PK someone with powerful items. But most importantly, another incentive that Jagex added is cosmetics to a lot of items, specifically PvP items, that you can definitely show off to your foes and show them that you have played a lot of Bounty Hunter. One of the game modes that we have had throughout the years is Deadman, and in 2023 they released the Deadman Apocalypse. This was a brand new take on the game mode that people can actually play, and not only is there PvP, but also there were a lot of bosses that spawned around the world that gave you extremely powerful items that you could sell, and overall this was a great, I would say, way to test other things, because this time around they completely removed the finals area, like the top 256 people, so we don't have moments like, when it registers, which was extremely funny. Sadly, we didn't get content like that, but still, it doesn't go without any controversies, but definitely a fresh new take to the PvP enjoyers. One of the updates that I don't really know how to feel is Forestry. Now, normally, whenever we get updates to a skill, it's either a skill rework, which we have never had in Oldschool Runescape, I'm talking about maybe RuneScape 3 reworking mining and smithing, or maybe giving you activities such as Guardians of the Rift, the Giant's Foundry, and Forestry, which is basically the same way to train the skill, but maybe just call it with extra steps. Forestry is basically the same idea: click on trees, chop, and get experience. However, you have more events to give you more experience, both in woodcutting and other skills that are related to the event that you're doing, and with incentives to participate in these events to give you maybe Anima Bark, so you can build some of the items to summon these events and maybe get other cosmetics, a recolor to the beaver pet. It is definitely a great way to, I would say, fix it, but I just hate gathering skills so much that I'll be completely honest, I only participated in Forestry during one of my streams. I got footage for my video and I never touched it again. More recently we got a part 2, which basically gave us more events, but that was basically it. I would say there was a lot of hype behind this update, but to be quite honest, now that you really think about it, it's not really that great. In my personal opinion, of course, a lot of people are going to say that it's great, and it definitely incentivizes teamwork, but in my opinion, maybe something I mean, something I have to do if I make another account, but not really going to be too excited about it, as opposed to if I want to train runecrafting through Guardians of the Rift. Forestry, definitely a great way to, I would say, test new things, but in my personal opinion, not the best one. However, talking about the best, the biggest update of the year was Desert to Treasure 2, the continuation to one of the most iconic quests in Oldschool Runescape, along with things like Dragon Slayer or Monkey Madness. Desert Treasure 2 comes to completely revolutionize the game because it gave us 4 new bosses with incredibly powerful items that are now staple in many gear setups. And of course, it is another great source of revenue, and with all those 4 pets that I almost have, unluckily, that's just, again, another story, a story for another video. I am really happy that we got an update of this size, because I believe, if you guys can let me know in the comments, this has been pretty much the biggest update in the history of Oldschool Runescape, or at least since I've started playing in 2018. Now, the last, I would say, update, but not really an update, maybe like an event of the year, is Leagues 4. Now, I'm not gonna make this too long because I love the Leagues game mode at the time of making this video, which is December 14th. I am still playing the League. I'm gonna be slowing down a little bit because I reached most of my goals, and I'm not really aiming to get like rank 1 or like rank 10 or whatever. I'm just gonna keep playing it every now and then. It's a great way to play RuneScape on steroids and on an absolute speedrunning tear. You do things so much faster, and if you're a brand new player, I wouldn't really recommend trying it out for the very first time. Maybe play the main game for a little bit and then give it a go. But, you know, again, if you want to know more about the League and why I love it so much, check out my other Leagues videos. Over the past few years, we received a lot of small changes, like, you know, other quests, like the Scar Essence Mine, Shooting Stars, changes to, you know, the Chambers of Varric, which were great additions to the game, as well as a little quest called the Path of Gluffery, which gave players a new weapon by the name the Warped Scepter, which it kind of aims to fill the gap between the Idon Staff and the Trident of the Seas, because for a level 87 boss, you know, for you to have a convenient weapon, that was a little bit high. And Jagex basically introduced this quest to give us this new weapon. Now, what is coming in 2024 that I am super excited about, and if you haven't been playing Oldschool RuneScape either in the last year, or if you, again, have heard about it before, what are the next few steps? Early 2024 is going to see the release of Valamore, which I think a lot of people get upset when I say Valamore and not Varlamore, but, you know, that's how I hear the JMod saying it, that's how I'll say it. Valamore is going to feature new quests, the Hunter Guild, new training methods, and the most important, the Fortis Coliseum. The Hunter Guild is going to be a new way to train Hunter, of course. You know, basically think about it like, you know, like Slayer, but for Hunter. New training methods are going to include things to train prayer, mining, and other, you know, things that are basically aimed to fill in the mid-game gap so you can get to your end-game skills. I'm pretty sure nothing is going to be introduced that's going to completely change the meta in terms of what you do in the end game of skilling. But the Fortis Coliseum is basically going to be a new wave-based, I mean, I'm not going to call it boss, but a wave-based activity that was basically the main idea of the Tiscal Trials in a game jam, I believe in 2022, that we've talked about in the video before. This is basically going to be like the Fight Caves, the Inferno, and from what I have heard, from what I've seen from devs or whatever, I don't think, you know, for you to get the important item, which is going to be the Quiver, I don't think it's going to be as difficult as the Inferno, but if you want to take it to new heights, it is definitely going to be more difficult and going to test your knowledge and your skills. It's basically going to take it to the absolute limit. Next, somewhere maybe after or before Valamore, we're going to get a new mid-level boss, which is going to be a rat, like a mutated rat, and that is going to teach mechanics to mid-level players. Honestly, bossing up until when you get to like the late game with like maybe the Gauntlet or something more challenging, bosses, the only thing you have to do really is move around, pray, and maybe just like change weapon or something. It doesn't really teach you a lot, and this mid-level boss is going to change that. So we're also going to get new weapons for you to, you know, which are called Ratbane weapons, which hopefully are not only used for the new boss. Hopefully we can see something more interesting. The biggest thing coming in 2024, if you've been living under a rock, is going to be a brand new skill, and we are locked into the sailing skill for now, hopefully. I believe I've heard that we are either going to get a beta, like maybe in the second half of 2024 or all the way to the end of 2024. So we should be able to, like, you know, maybe start seeing some news about it. I'm not gonna say soon, but, you know, especially as of the time of when you're watching this video. And the sailing is definitely going to come to, you know, when I say revolutionize the game or change the game forever, I kind of mean it for a lot of updates, but sailing is just going to be, again, the biggest update that we have seen in the entire game up until its release. A new skill to completely change, you know, pretty much how we know things nowadays is going to be absolutely amazing. So, the reason why I love Oldschool Runescape so much is it is a game where you can play at your own pace, and definitely where you can meet a lot of people, make new friends, join a clan, and it is going to make the grind so much easier, I would say. But what about you guys? What do you love about Oldschool Runescape? But now it is your turn. For this last video of the year, we are giving away 3 bonds to 3 lucky viewers that leave a comment below telling me why you love Oldschool Runescape so much, why you continue playing, and maybe if you want, what is it that you're looking forward to in 2024. If you leave the letters RSN with your Oldschool Runescape username so I can get in contact with you, we're going to be doing a random draw for 3 winners, and of course, one of you is going to win 1 bond each. That being said, thank you so much to everyone for making it this far. Thank you to all my channel members. You boys and girls are insane. All your support throughout the years has been, you know, just mind-boggling to me. I hope to continue providing great content for you in 2024, and I hope it continues to be a weekly schedule. I'm gonna try my hardest, but you know, there's only so much you can do with this 20-year-old pixelated game. That is it for 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in 2024. But the first video of the year is going to be another huge list of tips for Oldschool Runescape and how to play this cookie clicker game a little bit more efficiently. Once again, thank you so much for watching, have a wonderful end of the year, and I will see you in 2024. Good peace.